The conflict in the Middle East with our guests. We're joined by Qatar University professor Ali Al-Hail in Doha, international law professor and analyst Salam Abdel Samad in Dubai, and chairman of the Middle East Center for Political Studies, Fahad Ashalaimi in Kuwait City. Thank you very much to all three of you for joining us on the program this evening. Even aside from Benjamin Netanyahu, if the US and Iranian sides came to the negotiating table, there's so many sticking points which neither side seem willing to budge on, one of them being the Strait of Hormuz. Coming to Mr. Salam Abdel Samad, please. Iran is saying the Strait of Hormuz remains shut for the US and its allies, while Washington insists the blockade on Iranian ports in the Gulf is still in force. What is actually happening with the maritime trade there now, and which sides have been impacted the most by what's happening?
In fact, this is a good question. In any negotiation, or let's say any negotiation according to the international law, should be characterized by its fairness, okay, and its justice. So I mean, we cannot, for example, impose sanctions, okay, from a side, then going to the other side saying that we need to negotiate with you. And here, to be honest and to be fair, okay, I have to blame the U.S. measures in Strait of Hurmuz, okay, this is from side, and from other side also the let's say the aggressions, okay, of Iranian army and of Iranian political, especially that even at the Iranian side we are not seeing one opinion or one attitude toward the negotiation, while, for example, we heard some positive attitude from the Minister of Foreign Affairs, from the President of Iran Islamic Republic. From the other side, we see, for example, the Revolutionary Guard that are saying that are against any negotiation with the U.S. government as long as the blockade is still there and we cannot export, we cannot sell our products, our fuel. Even the U.S. Marines made 2 aggressions recently against their ships in Hormuz Strait, etc. So in conclusion, we can say that both sides are requested, okay, to go back to the negotiation, and both sides have to reach a fair agreement, a peaceful agreement, by waiving, okay, U.S. side their conditions, their restrictions to open the Strait of Hormuz as soon as possible, while also from Iranian side they should show some peaceful intentions and some intentions to reach a great negotiation and to reach a peace between U.S. government and Iran.
Samad again, you're in Dubai now. The UAE is reportedly in talks with the U.S. about a financial lifeline if the war should restart. We can actually have a listen to what Donald Trump has said about the situation. Let's listen to that now.
It's been a good country. It's been a good ally of ours. They were hit the hardest of the group, actually. Yeah, if I could help them, I would. I mean, we're helping them much more with what we're doing with the war because, you know, the bully of the Middle East was Iran. Iran was a bully and bullied all of these countries around, and they threatened them all the time.
OK, so that's Donald Trump there. Abu Dhabi is also reportedly saying that if it runs short of dollars, it might have to turn to the Chinese yuan. How do you see this situation playing out?
Look, in fact, to be honest, Donald Trump and USA is obliged. There is an obligation, an ethical obligation, as well as a material obligation or a military obligation to defend the Gulf countries and to defend specifically UAE. Why? First of all, because there's an alliance, a strong alliance between USA, okay, United States of America, and the Gulf countries. And here I name specifically UAE. And this is a long story back. It started from yesterday. This is one. 2, Iran, by its aggressions, by its war illegitimately. This is one. Okay, and unjustified attack, unjustified hit by drones, by missiles, okay, to the Gulf countries in general. I'm not here to defend just UAE or to defend Dubai where I'm living. No, because the Arab countries in a whole have been targeted by the Iranian regime with no reason. Why, for example, now one of our colleagues here in this panel, they are saying, for example, Qatar did not join the war, even Kuwait, even Saudi Arabia. So why Iran is hitting back those countries? So there is no reason, there is no justification. So which seems that the regime in Iran, okay, is very bad, is one of the worst regimes that we ever seen in the history. And that's why they are targeting not just military bases. If, for example, we can say that they are replying to the U.S. Military bases in the Gulf, no, they are targeting civilians, they are targeting civil positions, civil establishment like the airport, like fuel refinery, etc., etc. So overall, and if we come back to the says of Mr. Donald Trump, we can say yes, he is obliged, okay, to help UAE specifically, and also to give all the assistance, military assistance, financial assistance, okay, to the Arab countries and mainly to the Gulf, in order to keep this great alliance and in order also to refrain any more attack from Iran and protect those countries. And also those countries themselves, I am pretty sure that they can protect themselves, but also they are wise enough to be aside from this unfair war. This is my opinion, at least.
I'd love to hear your thoughts. You're sitting there listening to this this conversation. Where do you stand?
No, in fact, for sure, I respect the point of view of each guest. Okay, so everyone has the right to express and to say all what he wants, but I prefer at this time, okay, to keep the debate around the crisis in the Gulf and really to keep the accusation against the Iranian regime, because what is making the noise, the big noise, what is making the voice of war coming back is the Iranian regime. Okay, is the governance in Iranian regime, is the Iranian weapons, while they are preparing to hope not, but to start or to resume the war, okay, because they don't want to go to Pakistan, they don't want to extend their hands one more to U.S. envoys.
Well, to be fair, we wouldn't even be in this mess if it wasn't for the U.S. and Israel.
I didn't hear you.
We wouldn't even be in this mess now if it wasn't for the U.S. and Israel going into Iran in the first place.
Yes, you're right. Yes, everybody knows that this question has been always an up-to-date question. But now just I was discussing the fact that really we are facing a big crisis here in the region.
Ali Al-Hayl, I'm going to come over to Salam Abdul Samad, because this just makes me wonder whether people are thinking these U.S. bases in the Gulf are just a burden now after what we've seen over the past 2 months. I mean, should the Gulf get rid of them? Iran has also said it only targeted the sites and the countries that host U.S. assets. Is the regional tide turning against Washington's presence there, would you say? A question to Mr. Salam Abdel Samad, please.
In fact, I don't share this opinion. First of all, I'm not a military expert to estimate whether the presence of those installations, of those bases for U.S. and Gulf countries are necessary or something, or a must, okay, for both sides. This is one. Two, I think the relationship, as a law professor, now I'm talking not a political, and I don't have any political intentions in this context. What I'm saying as a law professor is that what we understand in international law, if there is an alliance, okay, between two countries or between a country, like a big country like United States of America and Gulf states, Okay, so this kind of alliance facilitates or allows the presence of military bases in any of each country. So this is one, and this is logic. Second, as all of us knows that previously, okay, Gulf states had been a victim and target of aggression, okay, whether from Iran, whether also from Hashd al-Shabi, from Iraq, and any Iran's proxies. And that's why we can justify, first of all, the reply of the Gulf states. They have great armies, and here we saw very well the perfection of the Kuwaiti army, also the defense system of Qatar here in UAE, also the way that have been defending against missile and drones coming out from Iran. It was done perfectly. Besides, for sure, the support from U.S. Army. So what I'm seeing now, maybe here we can talk about what President Trump said about his allies in NATO. This is a good question to see whether just after the war, maybe Trump will withdraw his troops or withdraw his country from NATO, because he didn't see any contribution from them while he was in need of them. However, in the country, in the Gulf states, the situation is totally different. U.S. have been a friend and also a big supporter of Gulf countries. This is all what I can say in this regard.
Absolutely, and I've really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you very much for your time to all three of you. We've been speaking to Qatar University Professor Ali Al-Hail in Doha, International Law Professor and Analyst Salam Abdel Samad in Dubai, and Chairman of the Middle East Center for Political Studies, Fahad Al-Shalami in Kuwait City. Thank you very much to all three of you. I really appreciate your time.